أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على هذا النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا عدد ما أحاط به علمك وخط به قلمك وأحصاه كتابك. وارض اللهم عن ساداتنا أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي، وعن الصحابة أجمعين، وعن التابعين وتابعيهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين، واجمعنا معهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. ثم أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. وما قل وكفى خير مما كثر وألهى، وإنما توعدون لآت وما أنتم بمعجزين. ثم أما بعد. We commence by testifying to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We ask Almighty and Exalted to shower His mercy and blessings on our teacher, our messenger, our leader, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his family, his companions, and those who follow and aspire to follow in their footsteps to the day of judgment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make all of us gathered here this afternoon amongst them. Ameen. It's only by the bounty and the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we're once again granted life and time to witness this congregational prayer in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Indeed, a ni'mah, a blessing and a bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for which we're most grateful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted us the opportunity to live and witness this day of Friday, a blessed day about which the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam informed that it's an allocation of time, that no slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he or she raises their hand except, and they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except that they are granted and they are replied to and they are responded to. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst the people of such an hour. Ameen. I wanted to journey with you, inshallah, this Friday for the next maybe 20 plus minutes in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as it is the tradition and the path of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam on the day of Friday to remind the congregation to connect to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on such a day. And for this connection to go beyond the 20 and the 25 minutes of the reminder on Friday, to transcend that to our households, to our families, to our spouses, to our kids, So the goal here is hopefully we share a little bit of guidance, a reflection from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on some of the ayat, particularly in Surah Fussilah. One of the foundational principles in the Quran, particularly mentioned in these following ayat and these following verses. And the intention and the goal and the aspiration that we take this to our households, to our families, and to benefit, particularly on this blessed day of Friday. Give an allocation to yourself and your wife and your kids to sit down maybe for a brief 15, 20 minutes and to journey with them and stick to that discipline and that practice and that sunnah. So hopefully we can convey part of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has conveyed through the messenger in this blessed book of his. So as we journey in this amazing book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we come across, if I'm not mistaken, the chapter or the ayat of chapter number 41, Surah Fussilah, there is an amazing reflection here that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shares in the Quran. And I'm very intrigued and very mesmerized, I should say, by how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala drafts this process. So we see here that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ أَلَّا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَبْشِرُوا بِالْجَنَّةِ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. This is verse number 30. A very foundational principle in Islam, that those, the translation goes, that those who say, our Lord is Allah, this is an open declaration of belief, conviction, of a vote of confidence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our ultimate resort. He's the one that we are default to. He's our ultimate reference. He's the one that provides guidance. He's the one that helps us navigate in this life. But what's interesting here, that there is an open declaration. Very soon, next month, the 4th of July is upon us. The 4th of July, 1776, there is a declaration of independence of this country. This is a declaration rather of dependence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that their servants and slaves of His, they openly declare that their reliance, their tawakkul, their trust and confidence is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What a wonderful statement to open this passage with. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ. This open declaration is very important. It actually manifests what's in their heart in terms of the deeply seated conviction, the power of belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one, Allahu Akbar. He is the one that who could, debases people, and He's the one who could honor people. He's the one who could give, and He's the one who could withhold. He's the ultimate reference to all the affairs in this life, and He's the one that is in charge of our life in general and the life of our families and our communities. So it's a very important opening statement, because it just sets the record straight that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the reference here, not something else that might be in my heart, not a whim or desire or anything like that. But much easier said than done, that a person has this open declaration, however they fall short in terms of their practice, many of us. That's why Ramadan was a wonderful opportunity, yes or no, for us to catch ourselves, to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to, make this much needed U-turn, to bring a form of tawbah and repentance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what we need to continuously be doing for the remainder of the year. But those particular folks, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make you and I amongst them, those particular folks, they have performed something very significant. وَاسْتَقَامُوا ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا. And then after that, they were steadfast. This Imam, an amazing Imam for the 3rd and the turn of the 4th Islamic century, Al-Baghyawi, very interesting Imam. His job, or what he endeavored to do, is to capture particularly what was said about particular ayat in the Quran, certain ayat in the Quran from the four khulafa, the rightly guided khulafa. So basically what this man does, he is off on a chase in order to capture anything that was said in the Quran, was captured in Bukhari and Muslim and the likes in the 6 books of Sahih, in terms of what these, ulama, what these khulafa said. And it's interesting here, and I jotted it down, that when it comes to istiqamah, became steadfast. on this path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He captured from Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, he said that the ta'wil, his interpretation of istiqamah, they became steadfast on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the issue of tawheed, that they did not associate any partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether man, woman, desire, article, materialistic gains, positions, so on and so forth. They became steadfast and did not give priority to anything in this life at the expense of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded. So, أولها بالتوحيد. So this is a very interesting thing. He says istiqamah literally means عدم الشرك بالله, that you do not associate any partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then when he endeavored to see what Umar ibn Khattab mentioned, he said that al-awamir wa nawahi, they were steadfast to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded. They showed up. When it comes to the 5 times salah, they were present. When it came to fasting and so on and so forth, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded. And what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden, they brought themselves to a halt and a stop, and they were disciplined enough. And that was the practice of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, if you all remember, that one of his basic characteristics, Umar ibn Khattab, that the fact that he was waqaf, he was a person that would bring himself to a stop when he's reminded that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said something and he is going diverting from it. You remember the famous incident when he had an interpretation about a certain ayah of dowry, and then the woman stood and corrected him and so on. So he was a person that he would stop when it comes to anything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded, and he would be first in line to something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has called people towards and so on. And then when it came to Uthman ibn Affan, it's very fascinating. He said, "Hiya al-ikhlas." The istiqamah, this issue being steadfast, they openly declared that Allah is our Lord. And then they became steadfast. The issue of steadfast, he says, ikhlas, the issue of sincerity. What a difficult trial, the issue of ikhlas, the issue of sincerity. All of us are struggling with this. You and I'm standing right here and you're sitting before me, and throughout the whole entire day and the whole entire week and the month and the year, we're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what? Oh Allah, grant us sincerity and acceptance in all our deeds. Oh Allah, do not make our deeds void and cancelled because of anything that might be an issue of like showing off, or an issue of, a person has some gain or some advantage, or a person and so on and so forth. Oh Allah, this is our trial in this life. Oh Allah, make all our deeds and actions sincerely and solely for your sake, and give the shaitan no share in anything that we say or do. This is the dua of the prophets, and this is the dua of the companions, and this is, the ongoing, trial that you and I have to live. Prophet ﷺ left an amazing legacy when it comes to this issue. Of course, he has the most famous dua, "Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you that I may associate partners with you knowingly or unknowingly." He says this is one thing that a person should invoke. This is a dua a person should invoke in order to seek the quality of what? The quality of ikhlas, sincerity. And there's definitely a number of, reminders and reflections when it comes to this issue. Ali ibn Abi Talib, he said that this is al-fara'id, the issue of istiqamah, the issue of being steadfast is an issue of al-fara'id. And in that he's correct. Technically speaking, the scholar that he is, the Prophet ﷺ said that about him, he's the scholar of the ummah. And as a matter of fact, the person who agrees with him is the habr of the ummah, is the celebrated resident scholar of Medina. That's Ibn Abbas, of course. Both of them, Ali and Ibn Abbas, they said the issue of steadfastness is the issue of that you fulfill what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded upon you, which is from the hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they're pretty technical, and they stick into the classical text that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that there is nothing more beloved to me that my servant could do except that which I have obligated upon him, maftaratuhu alayh, something that I have obligated to him. If he fulfills that, he has drawn near to me. So it was just an interesting practice that this Imam endeavored to do, to see these These are definitely amazing reflections, and all of them are correct, and all of them, they have their own dalil and they have their own interpretation based on their experience, interaction, and the teachings that they have received from the Messenger ﷺ. And it's, you know, something that makes you really ponder the fact the Messenger ﷺ was so rich in knowledge that he could teach the same lesson, the same class, the same, the same text, if you will, but people will have, you know, different understandings. And this is from the richness of the Messenger ﷺ, and of course from the insightfulness of these amazing Sahaba, that all of them, they look at things not the same. It's not a copycat. All of them, they have their own, you know, enlightened opinions when it comes to these different things, and all of them, they have reference. But back to this ayah, you know, it's interesting if you look at this. I love looking at, you know, process flow charts and stuff like that. So just because of, you know, my background. So, you know, if you look at this ayah, you see there are 2 inputs and 1 medium and 3 outputs, if you would summarize it. So the 2 inputs, that they have this open declaration, and then there's steadfastness. So obviously, you know, it's not a practice by the tongue, but it's well manifested in the behavior and the action. So these are 2 inputs. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this very interesting mediums and then 3 outputs. So he says, تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. So this action that is indicative of continuity. You know, the fact that these malaika are, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has assigned angels for these particular folks. You and I need to strive to be amongst these folks. These angels are assigned particularly by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, continuously, sort of like around the clock, in order to come down and give them this assurance. What are the 3 outputs that the malaika, they give them? أَلَّا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَبْشِرُوا بِالْجَنَّةِ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. Do not fear. This issue of, you know, if you know, some of the Imam Ibn Kathir talks about this, about Musa alayhi salam in the Quran. He says the issue of fear is mentioned something like 40 plus times or 30 plus times. Don't quote me on the number. He says that's an ongoing thing. You know, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the issue of fear, particularly in the context of the story of, you know, Musa alayhi salam and so on. So this issue of fear is an inherent, you know, sort of like born with type of like feeling that all of us experience fear at one point or another during the course of, you know, our life, of course, numerous times. So the purpose of these, you know, malaika that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has solely designated, this is your job, to go and give these folks, these particular folks, to tell them that do not fear. Do not fear, some of the commentators, they said, of the future, what is to come. All of us, no exceptions, all of us are very unaware of what to come. And that ignorance of an issue causes us definitely a certain level of fear. Depending on our level of iman, those who have, mashallah, like strong iman, deeply seated iman, they have less fear. You know, and you know, those who have less of a level of an iman, they have greater fear. But the issue of the future causes a great deal of fear by default. And as such, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comforts them how to address this issue. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comforts them with this content, tatanazzalu. You see that the double tat there is, you know, indicative of, you know, a continuous sort of action. And then وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا, and do not grieve, don't be sad. Of many of the commentators, they said what has happened, what has taken place in the past. The issue is, oh my God, I wish I had done this, I wish I could have. This issue of being sad over things that have passed in terms of, you know, historical events in our lives and stuff like that, they continue to bother us. You know, this whole idea of tranquility, the fact that your heart is comforted, this is, you know, a divine gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He blesses, bestows upon whomsoever He wishes this wonderful gift. The fact that you have qulubun mutma'inna. One of the ways that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran is that if you read the Quran, you end up with this type of feeling, with this type of tranquility and sakina and comfort that this book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings. وَأَبْشِرُوا بِالْجَنَّةِ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. So these are 2, and the third is accept and receive the glad tidings of this amazing paradise, of the dwellings of Jannah. that you have been promised all along. You know, so the idea, it's interesting that some of the commentators, they said, you know, it's very interesting. They have, you know, two sort of like feelings here. The fact on the day of judgment, so that affirmation, listen, you're getting to get paid. This is a bank check. This is as good as it gets, you know, in terms of like, you know, guaranteeing your right or guaranteeing your, you know, fact that you're at the end of this job that you're definitely going to get paid. There is not going to be some delay. There is not going to be. So that is the idea. The affirmation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very important, and as such Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Zumar when He actually fulfills this promise, الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. This is what you have been promised all along. The reply comes much later on, or I don't know what the sequence, but in particular in Surah Al-Zumar, says that, you know, they are grateful. وقالوا الحمد لله, towards the very end of Surah Al-Zumar, وقالوا الحمد لله الذي صدقنا وعده. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what? For He is the one who has fulfilled His promise to us. الذي صدقنا وعده وأورثنا الأرض نتبوأ من الجنة حيث نشاء. All glory and gratitude is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who has fulfilled His promise to us. This promise mentioned here. نتبوأ من الجنة حيث نشاء. You know, that we can dwell any part of Al-Jannah, wherever we our, you know, heart, you know, desires. So it is an interesting reflection, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, something that all of us should really like, you know, try to reflect on, and again, try to really strive to be amongst these folks and truly to qualify to have some kind of membership into this very particular special group of people, this, you know, privileged club of folks that all of us are commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the following ayat. The how-to is what comes next, inshallah. And during the, as I sit down, I want you, inshallah, to make the sound intention that sincerely and sorry for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you're going to strive, particularly during this time after Ramadan, that you're going to strive to be part of this special group of people and to hopefully follow the guidance that is to come next as to how to qualify and how to hopefully convey this. Once again, as I started, to our families, to our spouses, our kids, inshallah. أقول ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فاستغفروه ويا فوز المستغفرين. الحمد لله وكفى وصلاة وسلاما على عباده الذين اصطفى خصوصا على أفضلهم أجمعين محمد الأمين وعلى صحبه الغر الميامين وعلى التابعين وتابعيهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. O gathering Muslims, O slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded you, His angelic realm, and the believing men and women, to send peace and salutations upon the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. فيقول عز من قائل إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على هذا النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. So with that being said, I can't believe it's 1:45. I just looked at my phone and time is just, and we only did this one single, you know, reflection, but here inshallah it's all, you know, good. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intends for us to benefit is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intends, and in His decree there is the biggest wisdom. So inshallah, as I conclude, maybe for 2 or 3 minutes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that there is a way to do this. There is, it's not something ambiguous. There is a path, there is a journey that you need to embark on, that you need to commit to. There is a class that you need to enroll in order to qualify, in order to sort of like become amongst these folks. And it's very important for us to understand what it takes in order to get somewhere. So with that being said, I think maybe I'll conclude with this, that it really manifests in the, I'll skip a couple of ayat, and it really manifests is in what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَى إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Very simply put, and inshallah briefly, that who is best than the person one of the interpretation, one of the translations, who is best than the person who calls towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who actually, we're not talking about necessarily the what is it called, the Islam Awareness Week on campus, so so that's like every MSA, they have to have this, and they have the table and the thing, and and all that stuff, and so on and so forth. But the point is, this is a continuous effort that the person is committed to a lifestyle of calling people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The question then, is to be asked, how can we, what's the best way, if I have limited time, our whole life is full of limitations. We have limited time, limited effort, limited energy, limited money, lots of limitations. So how can we do best? What is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala advises us in order to be amongst the callers, those who call Allah to the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala amongst the people? He says, وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا is the person who enacts deeds of righteousness. So as if that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, in order to be amongst the callers towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make sure that you do righteous deeds. It's not, talking the talk, but the emphasis here is walking the walk. The idea of make sure that people observe you in acting deeds of righteousness, because this is the best way towards calling, or the best way of calling towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's pretty much, but the order here is a bit reversed. And many of the commentators, they're actually fascinating. They excel. Some of the commentators really wonderful. There's about maybe 7 or 8 or 9 commentators that basically have interpreted this in so many different ways. And again, there is richness, there's enjoyment, there's fulfillment, there's contentment. When it comes to like these amazing scholars of Islam and how they reflect deeply and insightfully on the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But pretty much that's the gist of it, that you need to enact deeds of righteousness. And then I'll finish with this, وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. What a powerful way to finish. What a very sort of like, attention-grabbing way, at least for me, to finish. And he said, I'm amongst the Muslims, which is not such a big, huge deal. Amongst the Muslims, I'm one of the Muslims. It's not like somebody who's standing out and doing something, fascinating, amazing, and people are pointing at this guy and this sister or whatever. It's basically a person that he says, I have to be part of the team of the Muslims. The idea of that this guy is a sort of like a player in the team, that this person really has, a responsibility. He's entrusted with doing something for the masjid. He's entrusted, maybe you're just organizing the parking lot in Ramadan. Good luck to you. One of the most difficult jobs that you could ever have is organizing the parking lot in Ramadan. Half of the people are not going to listen to you, and you need a lot of patience for that. Whatever your role on the team is, that you're amongst the Muslims. Also, it's a very humbling statement that, what you're doing is the people who came before you have done so better and far more, and those who have excelled. So the idea of having this humbling sort of like worldview perspective on life, that make sure that you keep yourself humble and grounded. You're one of the Muslims. It's a favor upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make you part of this team of the Muslims. يَمُنُّونَ عَلَيْكَ أَنْ أَسْلَمُوا in Surah Al-Hujurat قُلْ لَا تَمُنُّوا عَلَيَّ إِسْلَامَكُمْ. They considered, the Bedouin Arabs, they said to the Messenger ﷺ, or it was conveyed to the Messenger ﷺ, that they think it's some kind of a favor, it's some kind of gift that they have, entered into Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala corrects this. He says, it is the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has chosen you, has guided you. He actually has permitted someone to dedicate time and effort in order to talk to you. So hopefully to guide you towards the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the practice of His messenger. So it's a whole different worldview when a person feels entitled, privileged, versus a person who feels indebted, something that I need to give back. Completely two different approaches. So something that inshallah I'd like to leave you with, that let's inshallah continue practicing, reflecting on these ayat, inshallah, if Allah decrees sometime in the future. Hopefully we can finish the ayat in between and hopefully give you more of a proper conclusion. But the point is, it's something that hopefully you can take to your family and dedicate a little bit of time, inshallah, to your spouses and your kids, inshallah, and to make it an ongoing practice, hopefully reoccurring every week or every other week, to benefit from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If there is anything clearly that was mentioned in the past like 20 minutes or 25 minutes is the idea that this cannot stop here. The idea of Friday, the idea of the congregational prayer is that we take some reflection, some wisdom, some knowledge from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we share this with those that we are entrusted with, namely our families, and for this to transcend the walls of the masjid to our households. That's how a strong community is built, and that's how a steadfast, set of believers, men and women, is created. With this, inshallah, I'd like to go ahead and conclude. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make, again, these words sincerely and for His sake. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the quality of ikhlas and acceptance. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our families, to bless our kids, to bless this community. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the best in this life and the best in the hereafter. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the quality of istiqamah, steadfastness. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the messenger made the most famous dua, "Oh Allah, the one who turns the heart, make sure that my heart is steadfast on your deen," to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the opportunity to make our hearts steadfast on His deen. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the best in this life and the hereafter, to grant us a drink from the blessed hand of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the day of judgment, after which we shall never experience thirst again. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the companionship of the Messenger in the highest of paradise, Firdaus al-A'la. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our parents, forgive our mothers, our fathers, forgive our families, our teachers, forgive those who have rights upon us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the quality of acceptance in all our deeds and action. اللهم اغفر المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات. أقول ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. وأقم الصلاة.
Brother, come forward. There's a lot of space. Fill up the blanks. Make it straight lines. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Shadu la ilaha illallah, Shadu la ilaha illallah, Shadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Shadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استوت اليقين. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. وسيق الذين اتقوا ربهم إلى الجنة زمرا حتى إذا جاءوها وفتحت أبوابها وقال لهم خزنتها سلام عليكم طبتم فادخلوها خالدين. وقالوا الحمد لله الذي صدقنا وعده وأورثنا الأرض نتبوأ من الجنة حيث نشاء فنعم أجر العاملين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. وترى الملائكة حافين من حول العرش يسبحون بحمد ربهم وقضي بينهم بالحق وقيل الحمد لله رب العالمين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Inshallah, don't forget on your way out donations for the Masjid. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless your risk and bless your family, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope all is doing well, you and your families. Inshallah, first of all, we want to thank our brother for this wonderful khutbah. Our Khatib here, Brother Ahmed, he gave us a really good insight on the khutbah here. Alhamdulillah. We'd like to also make a quick note that brothers and sisters, please, when you come into the masjid, please park in the parking lot here. We have a lot of parking. Old Bush Police Department visited us last week and says our parking in the street. Please don't park in the street. Also, we just want to let you know the sisters brunch is June 11th, next Saturday, inshallah. Please bring out your mothers, sisters, daughters, everyone, all sisters. Next Saturday, brunch, 11 o'clock, inshallah. Want to also remind all of us for civic duties on the 7th. The primary is on, so please come out and vote. Vote for whoever you see fit for you to vote for. Also, want to the matrimonial services, the document, the sheet was sent out, please. All the youngsters, please fill it up, and we will have one event coming up this month end or early next month here, but you want to get the registration filled up, inshallah. Also, we have the summer camp coming up July 14th. July 14th, the summer camp. Please register for that also, inshallah. And I think the sisters are having their tonight. Every week Friday afternoon, the sisters having their program here also, inshallah. That's restarted. Assalamu alaikum.